everyone, it's Michelle Lightworker here, and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. I have a wonderful guest joining me today. I like to nickname him Astro Boy because he's an astral travel expert. Greg Doyle is joining me today. Hello, Greg. Lovely to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Have you here? I'm really excited about tucking into all things astral travel today. I just want to let everybody know a little bit more about Greg, just in case you don't know. Greg's actually a former classical musician, and Greg first discovered meditation primarily to overcome stage fright. And in 1999, he awakened to the reality of the phenomenon of astral projection. And for him, it was a life-changing experience that really expanded his consciousness, and it really changed the course and altered the very perception of his being at a fundamental level. Since then, he's gone on to develop his skills with astral travel, and he holds astral travel workshops, classes, healing sessions, and he's a Reiki master in Brisbane, Australia. Greg's healing and meditation work specifically aims at activating latent potential in all of us, and so we can also awaken greater concentration, ease of performance, more restorative sleep, increase in our general health, well-being, vitality. He's also written a book called Awakening the Giant Within, and that I am going to talk to him more about as we progress through. Welcome, Greg.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Great to be on the show. It's great to chat about this subject. I love it too. So,
yeah. I'm sure there's so many of us that are wondering more about astral travel and all the whys and wherefores about it. And I think, look, it's great to have. I think I've bumped into you twice. The first time I bumped into you was at the Resonance when we were both on a panel together talking, a Q&A session talking to the Resonance, which Dr. Lana Marconi, the film. We just happened to be on the same Q&A panel that night, okay, which was really cool. Right. And then we happened upon each other at the Discovery Expo last month. 28th of April, so more than a month ago, but just over. So I think it's nice how the universe has brought our paths to cross at interesting junctures, because the Discovery Expo, we were asking the question, how does our self-discovery evolve the consciousness of humanity, which you answered and now are in the documentary for that. So I feel like I love that. I love that we've organically crossed paths, and that's been beautiful. For me, it's been a beautiful experience. So
same. It's great, the community here, because I found because I just came to live in Brisbane just 4 years ago. Used to be in Melbourne before that, then Spain, and I wrote that book in Spain, actually, my book. Then came here, and it was funny because when I wrote the book, I hadn't really talked about astral travel to people. Astral travel had got me into Reiki early on and energy stuff, but I kept quiet about astral travel because I thought that's a bit of a weird subject. I don't know. I just don't know. Then I found myself writing the book a few years ago, and then came back to Australia, and it's just great just to on these subjects and the people you meet. It's just, it's a wonderful community, I think, of like-minded people. So it's also great to have met you too, organically, as you say, it just happened.
Yeah. And I think I can't wait to talk to you about it all, because for me, I've experienced some really exciting astral travel experiences, and it would be really nice to share those with you. But also, just from an educational point of view, I feel like I'm excited to be sharing space with you talking about this, because I feel like a lot of people don't really kind of know much about astral travel at all, and they don't understand the benefits of it. They don't quite even know what it is, really. So I think it'd be great from that point of view too, just to help educate people to understand it a bit more.
So true, actually. When it first started happening with me, I'd never heard of astral travel, so it took me a while to know what I was doing. So I think part of my role also, and the funny thing is, I've actually seen this in the astral. I've seen aspects of my role is to guide other people through this, and a lot of people have had kind of astral experiences or inklings of things, or maybe they've been afraid of certain phenomenon. So I think that's part of, why I'm here to help people through that, because I would have loved that guidance myself. I had no idea what was going on. I'd never heard of it. And I was being taken out of body night after night and bizarre stuff. And it took me a while to realize it was a spiritual experience, being shown past lives, which I didn't know about, and meeting beings, and they seemed to make a lot of sense. And I realized, oh, there's something going on here. There's something just beyond phenomenon, there's something more far-reaching. So it's a really beneficial thing to look into, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just encourage everybody. I've got a few questions that I just want to ask Greg about, unpack it for everybody. But I do encourage anybody watching, if you have any questions, please ask, and we can interact with you as well. The first question that I would like to ask is really a simple question, but probably a complicated answer. I'm not sure, but how can we describe it? What is astral travel? Can you help us out there, Greg?
I can. Look, what I found through my own experiences out of body is that when people fall asleep, generally before dawn, and it's funny because we often talk about the veil being thinnest before dawn. Generally, people's energy bodies are kind of out of sync with their physical bodies. So you go into that kind of really restorative time of sleep. Now, when I've adventured in this like 3D reality and looking at people basically in the 4D, in the next dimension, looking at people, what happens when they sleep, it's really interesting. I was like a kid in a candy shop in the beginning because I had no idea what was going on. And I'd see that astral bodies were generally just out of people's physical bodies. So it was like a translucent version of their physical body. But generally their eyes were closed, or people walking around like zombies. So astral travel really is, I would term it as becoming conscious when you are out of the body anyway, because we all do astral travel. But really the sort of the definition of astral travel would be to become conscious in that body, to have eyes open in that body. So that's basically what we do in the training I do, is getting people to actually become conscious when they're sleeping.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next question, which is, how do we astral travel?
That's a huge question. Okay, I tell you how we do it. It's funny because at the moment I'm in the process of finishing an online course, because some people have been saying, Greg, you're in Brisbane and you do courses around Queensland and Melbourne and Sydney, whatever, but can you do an online course? So how you do it, look, in the beginning, I'll tell you how it happened with me. As you said before, I was a classical musician. And someone handed me a book on meditation when I was in my early 20s. And I thought, well, this is amazing. I can be mega stressed playing my instrument. I was studying violin and conducting and all this sort of stuff. And I just thought I'd do 10 minutes of meditation. And I feel relaxed. So I think that primed me. So when I talk about meditation, just relaxing the body and mind and becoming kind of, that beautiful, intimate space with your heart. That feeling of just being very still, very quiet. So I never looked for any kind of spiritual phenomenon. I was never looking to go to body because I never heard of it. So I meditated just to relax and to be more focused. And I found that when I played music, I felt better, like I wasn't so nervous if I had to perform in front of people. So I did that for years. And then the astral stuff started happening. So I think that the keystone to the whole astral experience is for people to find a very gentle, easy way of meditating. A lot of people are afraid of that word of meditation. They think, oh, I can't do it. If you're just sitting with yourself trying to meditate, then you are meditating. So just to go in and relax the body and mind, I think and then really, if I sort of jump to the deep end in how to astral travel, it's kind of to entertain the notion. Well, the thing was, I wanted to get some control of the situation because I felt I was going out of body a lot. And then I heard it was astral travel, and then I heard you could have some kind of control. So I would reverse engineer a lot of my experiences to bring them on, because I thought, well, this is a really cool state to be in. I love to go into that planet, or astral travel felt more real than this reality. So it felt like in the beginning I was addicted. I just felt more real. I'd come back and have these ecstatic tears, and I thought, what is this? Why are more colors? There's more dimension. So I really questioned this reality in the beginning. It was quite tricky for me. And as I said, I wish I'd had someone help me. But I learned then that I could kind of bring it on by imagining myself out of body, by imagining, like even now as I speak to you with my eyes closed, I can sort of see the room around me. So I'd practice going to sleep at night with my eyes imagining that I can see the room. Because I figured if we're going out of body anyway, if I imagine that there's light in the room I can see, then when I go out, I'll be able to see it. So I sort of, you use meditations and visualizations and feelings, kinesthetic feelings of pulling yourself out, like you're a bubble at the bottom of a cup and imagine rising. So when you do these visualizations, when you're very relaxed, when your body is very, very relaxed, what can happen is you can kind of fall asleep and you set up a momentum. You can use mantras to get out this. You can listen to tones at the top of your head. And that's been taught to me through guides in the astral. So they've actually taught me techniques to get out. So there's a whole plethora of techniques. Mainly it is to relax the body and mind, and then to visualize yourself outside the body, and not to be afraid. Not to be afraid.
And so what I'm also getting is that, interestingly enough, you might be able to describe that. But is it possible to be grounded back on the Astral Travel?
Yeah, well, I actually would say it grounds you more than not doing it. Because I tell you what, I know, because we go out anyway. A lot of people say, oh, but are you grounded? What I've found is I actually enjoy this reality more. I see more of the magic. I'm less reactive to things that would potentially get me down. So I find that if you are consciously going out of body, you have these amazing experiences. You tend to come back, you bring some of that kind of beingness with you back. You bring back a greater aspect of yourself. I think it's actually like we have shells of ourselves. Like the astral body exists before the physical. It's like around our physical body and connected to the heart chakra. So when you come back from these experiences, you feel more connected. And you feel somehow less stressed, or you take this reality, this 3D reality, less seriously in a negative way. So, and also when you're in the astral, you want to be not too reactive, otherwise you get flung back into your body. So it kind of, it's a snowball effect. So you learn to be less reactive in this reality, and that helps you go out. And then when you go out, that makes you less reactive in this reality, and then the whole thing snowballs. So you're kind of grounding into a different reality. A greater reality. So when I'm coming back into 3D, 3D is beautiful. A lot of people say, oh, this world is terrible. Look at all the corruption. But that's not what you're grounding into. So a lot of people are grounding into a false reality as it is, what I call the illusion. They're grounding into a reality where they think that power is always corrupt, where they think that, and there's all these programs running, but really put those programs aside. The 3D is a beautiful reality. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make there, is that more conscious we are in the astral realm of what is real and what is eternal, and what is perhaps the bigger picture sometimes that we can see much more vastly, the more we can actually be at peace with the 3D world and the process that we're all going through in the 3D world to become conscious. And I think that's, for me, that's definitely been my experience of astral travel, is really gaining a more enlightened view of situations that a lot of people may determine as, limiting humanity. And I would say actually it's necessity for humanity to actually be going through this process right now. And the power that I have over this situation is really that I'm feeding it to evolve, or I'm feeding it to stay where it is. Really, not that we can, but along, but to kind of we've got that control. We definitely do, because our energy is feeding at any given moment in time. Is lucid dreaming the same as astral travel? Just that's another question that came through about, to help to people distinguish that.
Yeah, look, it's on the same hand for sure. I think if you do exercise for astral travel or lucid dreaming, they can help each other. So lucid dreaming is And I have a lot of that when I'm conscious in a dream. And you can go astral travel from a lucid dream really easily. Like you look for things. What I found is I'd look for things in lucid dreams that were very vivid, like a picture on a wall or a person looking at me. You focus on that and you often go through into reality. The difference is with astral travel, you feel a sense often of movement and it feels very realistic, like more than this. So that's how I see it. But lucid dreaming is not quite as lucid, if you like, as the astral environment. So it's not quite as fixed. But it's on the same hand that they help each other. And I use lucid dreams all the time. I tell you, it's bizarre. Often I'd wake in dreams and I think, this is a lucid dream. I will control the dream. And then I thought after a while, hang on, I'll let the dream go because there is no drama. Generally, there's dramas in dreams. And I'd find that I would allow myself to crash or fall over a cliff or whatever. And there'd be this beautiful ecstasy when that would happen. I thought, hang on. So there is no drama. So it's more, then I realized in this reality, you kind of let the drama go as well. And we're often like the illusion, what I call the illusion is like the mainstream. That is a beautiful teacher because it's telling us what is not. It's the opposite. So often the mainstream is pressing our emotional buttons to take up drama, like, oh, you're with us or you're against us, or isn't that terrible, or shame, shame, shame. And so that's feeding the whole karmic model that we're sort of coming back to. But I found more and more that's not the case. And as you said before, like where our authentic sovereign energies are running the show here as it is. So we've got this illusion to teach us. We've got these things these little walls that we think are walls to show us, what we need to go through. So, I know I rambled a bit there, but it's lucid dreaming is definitely on a finger on the same hand as astral traveling, but not quite the same.
So, can I give you an example of something, and you break it down for me as to what experience someone would be having? Just say they're doing a meditation. Just so they go to a practitioner and they say to the practitioner, I'd like to heal my gut problem because I am experiencing some problems with my digestion. This is a good one. Probably a lot of people can relate to it in this day and age because I feel like there's a lot of stuff around this. So they go to a practitioner and they say, I'd like to heal my gut problem. The practitioner's a holistic practitioner. They go, let's go and have a look in your body as to what's really going on there on an astral level. So they actually go in through a meditation. They go into the physical, but they also are investigating any imprints or any, energetic interference there. And they start to experience, the client starts to experience a flashback of a past life that they've gone through where they were poisoned because they spoke their truth, perhaps. And then from that, they are taken through a process where they can heal the belief, perhaps, that it's not okay for me to speak my truth, and they can take their power back and heal their body. Would you say that that's just astral travel or lucid dreaming or a bit of both? What would you kind of call it?
Well, I think you're kind of interacting with the astral body of the client, because what I found, like even as a Reiki practitioner, for instance, I had a client recently with a similar issue. So what I found is it kind of happens naturally. Like, so you get into the energy field of that person. I feel that when I'm treating in Reiki, often I'm also working above the body and feeling bodies that are above the physical body, because those bodies exist first. And often you feel there's areas of heat. And what often will happen is the client kind of goes slightly under, and as you say, experiences something. And I feel that's when it's leaving them. So, like, it's very similar to an astral experience, as in the astral, you really feel this phenomenal benevolence. You feel this, it can sound cliche, but it's true. You feel this phenomenal feeling of being loved by the cosmos, right? Now, in healing, there's also an aspect of this unconditional love, not a love that is like, you're a good child, I'll give you an ice cream and then I'll show you my love because you did that. That's a conditional response. So I think it's all kind of connected. So I find that it happens naturally. Even the great thing about this kind of, as you say, energy stuff that is released from people and what they see is it's not an intellectual process. It's something that happens naturally. And I found when I first got into astral travel, I reckon I'd gone to an energy healer in Austria because I had a bad shoulder, never been before. She was a craniosacral person, but she did energy. I didn't know what that was. I remember she moved, and I remember I had my shoulder pain, and I remember I had visions of certain things. I thought, that's interesting. I said, what was that? And she said, oh, you just had a block. And I said, what do you mean? And I said, do we have any more blocks? She said, yeah, sure. And I think that body work did actually also, on top of the meditation, I think was like a trigger to the astral thing. Probably not really answering your question, but I think
it does, because it definitely, it's like you do cross the threshold. I mean, in Lightworker practitioner training, we literally have like a line on the ground, well, in our mind, but, we've gone, there's a line, okay? Yeah. When you step across into this part or aspect of your body, you're seeing the whole picture of what's really going on and where it came from. So technically, we're actually encouraging people to do that, like step into the astral. But to do that, we have to prepare people. You need to be prepared. We actually invite resources with us to make sure that we're supported, and because it can be, revisiting some things can be quite heavy or traumatic for people. So it's about knowing you've got that support going in, and making sure it's safe,
You're totally right. I got to tell you an amazing experience in relation to that. Once I wrote about this in my book too. I injured my knee, and I knew it was coming. When you know something's coming. And I was on this trip, and I like to go surfing. It was in Victoria, and the very first wave, I sort of slow motion, and there was a weird wave. My knee slipped anyway, and I felt this snap in my knee. So it was cast up, and the doctor said, "Look, you'll have to have an operation in 6 weeks, whatever." So I'm in the tent, and at this stage, I was really exploring the astral. I really knew that, this template of healing that is around us. I knew that I existed in perfection at all times. I really knew it. I didn't have to talk myself into it. Now, that night, I took a mantra into the astral, and I just felt right to say, I deny the illusion of my injured knee, and I give thanks for my perfect health. So I kept on saying, I deny the illusion of my injured knee, and I give thanks. And because it really felt, I was just exploring this notion of this template of perfect health around us. Plus, I was going to the astral a fair bit. That night, I did this. Whenever I woke up, I would just keep saying that mantra. And I had a shocking night's sleep because it was a bit painful. And then I remember nothing happened, and it was after dawn. I thought, well, I'll caterpillar onto my stomach, which I did. Then all of a sudden, I was awake too. Then these astral vibrations came upon me, and it was absolutely amazing. And then I heard my own voice through the astral, would you believe, start to recite the Lord's Prayer, which I'm not into. I was brought up a Catholic as a little kid, but not practicing. And then every time I got to heaven on earth, it would repeat these lines, heaven on earth, heaven on earth. And my body was actually lifted up by this energy, turned around, and there were all these mini fingers were working on my knee. And because I was totally awake, I freaked out. I screamed. And I should have stayed with it. I was a bit of a wimp, but I knew something huge happened.
Yeah.
And there was these vibrations going on so loud, much louder than normal astral vibrations. And then within 10 days, I was walking again. I didn't have to have an operation. So it was really kind of a miraculous healing. And I knew it to be something profound. I knew something profound had happened. And so this interaction with 3D and the astral realms astral realms for really the other realms, the spiritual realms. And this interaction is much closer than people think. Like, miracles can happen.
Yeah, and I kind of get this picture right that it's like got the 3D and it's helping to make symptoms real, so you can actually almost like have here. And then you go into the astral and you go, oh, there's all the stuff that's going on. Oh, okay, this is the actual invitation to resolve all this stuff so that the physical actually benefits. Would you like to do that? And then when you say yes, then all the spiritual help comes in to help with that. It's like it streams through into the astral, and then the astral streams back through the body and changes, and then you have these miraculous like healings happen. And I know I've experienced the same kind of thing, not with my knee, but with other things like that. Well, actually, with my knee, I actually had one with my knee too. I can't believe that. Yes, I did. Wow. But this leads us into this question of, and hi, Margaret James, and hi, Tammy. lovely to have you join us. Thank you so much, and thank you to all the other people that are joining us as well. Please feel free to comment. We're happy to for you to ask questions. At the moment, we're covering what are the benefits of astral travel. We've been talking about our ability to heal, and I'm sure there's more, because I know when you started this, it was, apart from the fact that it helped you with your nerves and with you doing music and things like that, doing the meditation helped to calm you down, and then that led you into this whole change in paradigm of how you live your life. So feel free to share some of that story. Happy to hear more benefits that you can think of too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that was so well said, what you said too about that interaction between the realms. That was exactly how I feel it to be as well. Look, the benefits, first of all, I remember in the beginning when it started, oh man, I mean, I wasn't even into the whole ET thing or science fiction thing, but when I was first taken out of body down a wormhole, would you believe, and I was shown this planet where there was technology on, and I remember hearing the word "there are others" and thinking, okay, there are others. I guess it made me feel interesting in technology, and so one can actually connect with non-earthly beings. Interesting. And also I met my guides, and I wasn't a new age kind of person, but to meet these two people in the beginning who were ex-earthlings actually, who were helping me and showing me stuff and showing me auras, and that was interesting. And then they, even I was shown my own death. I was shown past lives through this experience. And like I was kind of hit around the head by a spiritual shovel in the beginning. I had no idea what was going on, but I was showing all these realizations that were really coming into my whole body, and I realized my mind was all through my body. So the benefits are a greater sense of self. I also had to learn, I remember I was at one stage ignoring a lot of the spiritual things, looking back, that I was being shown. And I remember I was conducting this concert as a musician, and I was really being pulled in this direction of consciousness. All of a sudden I felt these hands around my hands, and they were pulling me down this way and that, and I had to, just to survive the concert, I was sweating, and I thought, okay, I've got to let go. So I learned to surrender to something greater than what I thought I was, or the who that I was. When I let go and just thought, okay, I'm actually the cosmos experiencing itself through me, so I'm invisible, then my life got good. Yeah. Now, what I mean by that is, people could say, oh, is that negative to surrender? Not really. It was a feeling of allowing this ecstasy into me and allowing to go which way it wishes to go, rather than this way I'd preset. I had this predetermined path in my life, and I was whacked. Okay, I'll go that way. So that I can see that that same thing as well.
Oh yeah. And I'm getting a bit teary. I know, because it feels so divinely expected. We think of surrender as this thing where we're like, oh God, I got to give up. No,
it's got a negative connotation, doesn't it?
Oh, amazing. Surrendering, to all the assistance you could ever want stream through you. I mean, it's incredible. So like, I'm feeling it, and I got the goosies when you were talking as well, and it's just a beautiful. I can feel it, and
I know you can.
It's beautiful.
Do you feel also, Michelle, what's interesting with that is that what I found also is that I'll give you an example that a few years ago, or it was about a year before I wrote my book, less than a year before I wrote my book, I was living in Melbourne. I was still half working as a musician and still doing Reiki, but still I had my foot still in this other world. I was meditating one day. All of a sudden I felt a tweak at the back of my head.
Yeah.
I came out and I said to my wife, something's happened. I couldn't remember the names of people in my family. I couldn't remember anything. I had to rehearse the names of people, my colleagues I would see the next day. And then I couldn't have a conversation because by the time I got to that word, it was gone. Something happened. Now, since then, I had concussion a couple of years ago. I did get an MRI and they said there are no lesions, so you never had anything physical on that level. But then someone had said to me earlier, said, Greg, you do a lot of astral traveling. This could be a kind of because of that, because what I found is I had this kind of almost like memory loss, but at the same time, the narrator at the back of my head, the thing that was always sort of blah, 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 blabbering, just stopped. So I sort of became a bit not vacuous, but like even now I find my memory, I don't need to remember things, because often in the astral I found that we are perfect beings. We haven't made mistakes. We've done nothing wrong, because everything we've done has got us to this point. So it's total acceptance of presence. If you let go of resentments, guilt, all that stuff to what you had toward yourself. So it's almost like my memory let go of the past. So if you ask me what I was doing last Tuesday, I don't know. What was I doing yesterday? I'd have to rethink. Yesterday.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? And I find
the irony of being present is that you're not. Yeah, because you're so invested in that moment. Yes. You're not thinking about the past. So where your brain held on or it's gone, I need space to forge a memory for this, so that I've got it's definitely a different reality to be living through, because I don't have a lot of chatter. I don't have I just don't. You know, it's hard to explain that, because I know how much chatter I had before. To say that now, it's like, really? Are you sure? Like, I just don't have a lot of chatter. The chatter I would have would be a conversation with my guides or what have you that I need to have, or listening to what I need to do or what would be in my best interest. That kind of isn't, for me, it's not chatter. That's just being present. That's like being here right now. So I can 100%, the other thing, I can 100% agree with you on that. The other thing is, when I've made agreements with people and they don't contact me, in the past, because I was a little bit of a control freak, I would kind of do a lot of chasing up and things like that. But now it's more like I'm already getting the message. I've had a conversation. It didn't really go where it was going, that it could have gone, and that's cool. And I totally don't even have a memory of having the conversation. So then when somebody contacts me maybe months down the track and they say, oh, I'm so sorry I never got back to you, I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay. But that's cool, because I'm not holding on to, you know what I mean? I don't take it personally. I'm holding on, they didn't get back to me. I'm just thinking, oh, maybe now's the divine time. You know, it's a different reality. It's less personal.
Totally, You're right. I think that's very much a benefit of astral travel, because I think it ties in with what I was talking before about how to go astral travel. Is a lot of it is letting go. Yeah. Letting go. And I think that, because I'm constantly feeling it in my body, and I remember when I used to go to college and I was studying music, I'd feel into my body and think, why am I clamping? I'd be reading a book and I'd be feeling, when I look into my body, it was holding. Now this holding, stagnation can lead to disease, as we, know. So it's almost like the human condition thinks that it's a holding pattern. Like I even see ads for insurance saying your life will never change, like everything's changing. So I think that this is a benefit. I think this feeling of being in the presence, it may look like a weird thing that your memory is, a lot of people say, oh, Greg, that conversation we had a month ago, I'm sorry, I've set up, can you tell me what that conversation was again? Because I can't remember. And I'm not, and they know I'm not being rude, but I thought to myself in the beginning, well, is this weird what's going on? But then I realized, no, it is actually a benefit, because it's part of not holding on to stuff that doesn't actually help you now. Yeah.
And we've got a comment from Tammy. She's just said that this is interesting. She said she had an out-of-body experience about 15 years ago, and it scared me that, this is interesting, because it leads into what we were about to talk about too, Greg, with contraindications. Because I had that question come through just before we started, and I told Greg that's what I'd really like to know. And she said it scared me that I stopped meditating. I've been meditating now for the last couple of years now, and I have a block now because of that experience. Thank you, Tammy, so much for sharing that, because it's perfect timing, because we were going to talk about the contraindications. Might as well talk about it now, and you might want to share your knowledge on that to Tammy and maybe help her there.
Look, what Tammy says is that so many people tell me that. So many people. What I found is, because of the programming we've had as a Western human, we're kind of it's a very eggshell society on this subject. Like a little kid, when you're little kids, you see things, and parents put the nightlight on, and it's kind of like, don't be afraid, rather than disgust. So what happens is we do have this layer of fear that's often around there. So we can often have an experience that freaks us out. Through our own fears, we can see a dark figure. Whereas if those fears were dispelled, that figure could be a light figure. And I've had these tussles in the astral when I learned, where I through kind of an initiation of fire, where I discovered that there was no evil, that it's all the same. It's all the light seen through our own shadow. So, and you look at what's happening on the world, you know, geopolitics as well. A lot of that is the same kind of thing. So it's part of the illusion. It's part of the programming. What I urge people to do is to look into themselves, look into any fearful experiences they've had maybe as a kid, or what is the fear around that. Take a courageous step and go for it. The fact is, we are all astral traveling anyway. We are all, we've just, for some reason, we've lost that ability to dream through the dimensions, you know, but, and to be lucid through the dimensions. But so many people say what Tammy has said. They've had that one experience, has put them off. They've got a block. Find ways. Well, that's what I do with a lot of my training, is to find ways of meditating and kind of reassuring your subconscious that it's okay, it's safe. Because your subconscious doesn't want your worldview to shatter. But if your worldview has certain fear and limitations there, then it will hold that away from you, this other world, because it doesn't want you to shatter. So it's a question of kind of talking your subconscious, kind of even tricking your subconscious into allowing you to experience this, you know? That's all it really is.
And also, it could be a good opportunity. It might sound contradictory, but it could be a good opportunity to use the astral realm to heal that block, because where you think the block is because it was only a couple of years ago, it may actually well be that it's from a long time ago, and it's repeated itself and presented itself in an experience in the astral. But in actual fact, if you go in consciously with your resources and explore that, you can unravel it so that you can get to the meaning behind why this fear was there, because it could have been set up through something a long time ago, and you just need to get the belief. And I'm hearing it's not safe to let go. I'm actually hearing that. So there might have been, Tammy, I'm just going to share with you, there might have been a situation where, you know, you did let go and it wasn't safe. And so that was then and this is now. It is safe to let go now. So and you've got more resources to help and support you in understanding that and reprogramming that. So my feeling would be this is the perfect show for Tammy to be watching, because so much of what we talked about is about letting go as well, and the power of letting go. That real sense of faith, that principle of faith really kicks in there, and we just say, I'm going to. It's not serving me not to, so I'm going to choose to. How can I do it safely? How can I do it with support? How can I do it with resources? So that would be my feedback there. Yeah,
and that as you say, that the true kind of concept of faith, rather than a watered down one, the true concept of faith is what you're after. And I found also I was shown a lot of past lives in the astral, which was really interesting. And when I came out of them, I realized we really were humans really were persecuted for hundreds of years for showing signs of awakening, right?
Yeah.
Now that is ingrained, this fear, within us, and when you let that go, you know, as you say, it is a letting go. But you know, so that's many lifetimes we've had, and so we've gotten to a point, even though we can criticize our time as much as we want. However, it's actually a really great time. It's very free time to talk about these things and to explore these possibilities. We're not persecuted, so it's a great time to, you know, as you say, with support. Yeah.
And what other things, like what other contraindications could there be, or even preparations for going into astral that could help people to go, you know what, I feel safe and I feel ready to do this?
Yeah. What I do is I'll often let go of anxieties that, because we're in a fluid reality, we're often holding on to anxieties that aren't our own anxieties. So when you go to sleep at night, you want to feel as good as you can. You just want to feel great. It's a little bit like crossing a road. When I realized that we're all going out of body anyway, and I was being taken out of body and all this kind of stuff, I realized, well, I wouldn't cross a road with my eyes shut. So why would I go to sleep absolutely shattered? And the illusion teaches us to come home from your day of drama and to watch a drama on TV and get more drama, so that you go to sleep. And you'll notice that when your mind fractures into sleep, these little stories and dramas come up. So we're just feeding the drama. A good way is to be really relaxed before you go. So do meditations during the day when you're really awake. That way, when if you're doing the meditation during the day, then when you go to sleep, you're not so shattered, because you've kind of relaxed your mind a bit during the day. And then you're looking for your cogs just to kind of connect with something lucid during the night. So it's really a reprogramming, almost a deprogramming, is to go astral, because I'm of the belief it's a natural experience. It's not supernatural.
Well, something that's come through for me, and I've just popped it up on the screen, and Tammy just said, thanks so much, that makes sense, thank you.
Okay.
So that's cool, that's great. Thanks, Tammy, for that feedback. This is an interesting question. Do you think that the more we astral travel, it helps us with dream interpretation?
Yeah, for sure, because it makes you very, very lucid. I'll give you another classic example. I had a very personal one. Because when I was a little kid, my stepfather had been quite physically, brutal to us. And I had this dream, it was a brilliant one. And I knew I was dreaming. I was watching TV and my mate was there from school, whatever. I thought, I'm in a dream. And my dad comes in and says, the TV's a bit loud, Greg. I'm going, okay, I get on really well with my stepdad now. But I recognized that, okay, this is this energy of anger that I felt as a kid. And I thought, you can use the dreams incredibly. And then I let him come right up to me, and I thought I could feel this energy, and I knew it was resonating for me, this fear. Anyway, I let him merge with me, and as he merged with me, I felt this release of ecstasy again. So I'm looking in dreams, I look for any kind of negative vibe as a great thing, because it's something to resolve. Everything is an aspect of our psyche. Everything you see outside of you is, when I say our psyche, the universe's psyche, which is coming through you. So anything that gets a reaction, kind of look into that and what is that? And they're very, very real. Like because of this what I've seen in the astral, there's a lot of archetypes in the astral, like a lot of monsters people have seen. They pop up at the end of the bed. I used to say nick off in the beginning, or I'd swear at them, or I'd say something like in the name of Jesus. It was just weird stuff. And until I realized that now I don't have that issue, because I had this incredible heart release once with this. It was a full-on story, but everything is kind of an archetype of sorts. So I realized that is a very, and that's a very real thing for me. So therefore, dreams, they are really showing you things. They really are, and the more lucid you can get, your dreams are going to be more lucid. So if you're just always in a drama, got music going on the whole time, watching TV all the time, then you're going to get a lot of this kind of, just scattered kind of mind happening. But if you can be reasonably empty mind when you go to sleep and feeling good, then you're more likely to have dreams and their interpretations are clearer to you.
Yeah, I was really guided last year to go to Sedona.
Wow. How was that?
Oh my God, it was great. And we, in Sedona, they give you like when you ask for a map, right? It's so cool. You get a map of this cute little place that has all these amazing little whirly things on it. High vortex energy it's actually been measured scientifically. So you go, there's a few spots, and I was told in my spiritual guidance, you need to go to all of them. And I only had one day. I'm like, holy cow, what the hell? But it was not a huge place. So we were able to go, okay, well, we can do this. I'm meant to go. I don't know why yet, but okay. So I went to all these spots, right? And it was great. I got messages through from different chakras, and it was phenomenal. It was really awesome. And then we just kept walking. We just kept driving to that night to our next location, which was, quite. It was city. It was like the complete opposite. It was Phoenix, Arizona. So it was like completely different. And that night, I was flying all night, Greg. I was flying. Wow. funnest sleep ever, and it was so vivid, and it was so real, and I just remember waking up. I remember I was flying, like I remembered I was flying before I was waking up, still flying. Do you know what I mean? Like I was going, I'm still flying, and I was waking up, and it was the most incredible dream of joy, and just pure joy, and that, I think that's important for people to know too, is that when you turn up and you let go and you surrender and you're asked to do things, and they might not make sense at the time, but you just do them. Sometimes the gift at the end of that, the archetype to embrace, is joy, and to really enjoy it. Like, I was having so much fun, and it was just like, I just didn't want to stop. And I was flying everywhere, Greg. I was everywhere. And I just wanted to share that. That was one of the absolute best experiences I've ever had. In my astral travel. It would be the best. It would be the best.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so cool because, and as you say, it's something that you couldn't have controlled. Like, you didn't know that was, and it's the best thing, this release kind of thing. I mean, that sounds amazing. That sounds fantastic. I've got to go there.
It was so fun. And I always wondered, why do I need to go to Phoenix, Arizona? There's a couple of reasons why I felt after Sedona I had to. And I think it was because Phoenix itself, it's quite almost like, if I look at countries in Australia, I grew up in Sydney, and they have, like in Western Sydney, it's quite like, I don't know if you know Sydney at all, but it's like Parramatta Road. It's really quite industrial, and it's very, that's what Phoenix, Arizona was like. It was like Parramatta Road. It was very industrial. It was very flat, and it was very boring, but it was like I had to go there for the night to bring something there, and to not allow that energy to, it was almost like Spirit was showing me that nothing can get in the way of this joy. I had to be somewhere. Instead of spending the night in Sedona, and like, oh my God, I was in Sedona and I had the best night's sleep. It was like, okay, I went to Phoenix, Arizona. It wasn't that great. It was just like Parramatta Road and whatever. Almost like night and day, but I still had this experience, and it was like Spirit was giving me this message of, you can find joy anywhere, and you can absolutely like let it in, like completely let it into your very being anywhere you go. And so that's what there was another reason as well. I felt like I had to put my hands in the soil right outside the Meadows Institute, which is a rehabilitation centre, and I studied with the Meadows Institute back in 2001 for specialising in trauma and addiction recovery. And I felt like I needed to go there and put my hands in the soil outside there and just give back something, whatever it was. And I felt like I kind of closed a loop of something energetically. And I've since then seen them even grow bigger and appear on Dr. Phil and things like that. I'm thinking, okay, well, there's some pretty huge growth things going on there. But for me, I think when you talked about the wormhole thing, like going down the wormhole earlier on, I was thinking, well, when I had this experience recently where I went into meditation and I saw this spinning mandala, and I followed the mandala, and it was like going down a wormhole. And I had a conversation with an intergalactic being who told me, and this is quite interesting because in terms of astral world, he told me that their universe is still human, but in that human universe, they don't have a body. They just don't. It's all astral. So it's not like heaven. It's still existence. But what he was saying is that we evolved to this level where we have to resolve all our astral stuff that isn't resolved. So, and a lot of them can help us and guide us and all that because they've evolved to a certain level. So, that's on the cards too. But their primary purpose there is to resolve everything and for everybody to be at that space of resolving. And then I think, you take these bigger conversations back here and you go, well, if that's the point, then all these wonderful people like yourself that are taking people on these journeys are really, helping to shortcut, that journey of resolving the astral as well. And I think that's exciting.
It is exciting. And I think you're right too. It's funny. I used to also go and meet, often they come in chapters, like night after night, I meet this group of human. They looked human, but they weren't human. And they were around a big table and they talk everyone talked telepathically. Yes. In the beginning I thought they were a bit kind of cold-hearted, but after all, I realized they weren't. They just didn't have emotional bodies like we have.
Yep.
So they weren't. Yeah, and when it came my time to speak, it was really funny. I had no idea what I was going to say because I knew they were looking at me. When they started to look at me, this information came out of me, very clear words telepathically about the situation on the planet, on Earth.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I realized you could really look at them like they had no ego.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to leave. I remember this is early on. I thought, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to Earth because I really felt good with them. And they were like 4D humans, they're just humans without that physical kind of thing. And it seemed that what I gleaned from that and what I saw later on was that our emotional bodies in the human form exist to be healed. Yes. And it's a little bit like what you're saying. They exist to be healed. So people can look at what is their emotional state, because that's actually not what they are, not who they are, but healing that frees us, So emotions exist to be healed, because what I found is these states of ecstasy you come back with the astral. It's beyond emotion. It's not like emotions I see as conditioned things, like, oh, I feel good because I got that, or I bought that, or someone did that. Whereas feelings kind of just come from nowhere. A little like putting your hands in the soil. You didn't do it for a response, or you just did it because you felt the right thing to do. So we're sort of, I think humans are moving away from the emotional thing into feelings, and emotions are very, very triggered by the mainstream and the illusion, and that's to show us that is what is not, once again. So I think that this whole notion of people can really look at what is an emotion, what is just a feeling. A feeling stems from within. It's without condition, and that's more in line with what we are, the cosmos. And to feel into that, away from the emotional reactive state, is where we're going. And you're right. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, Greg, you came and took me out of body last night." I go, "I don't remember doing that," but so many people. So I think this is like our task, as you say, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice because I think, really, people say, "Oh, Greg, you came and took me out of body. You took me a while." I do know often I have astral things where I'm taking people out who I don't know they are, and I'm taking them into these incredible realms. And it's interesting. It is cool, but it's beyond my mortal kind of ken. It's just happening anyway. It's just surrender.
Yeah, totally. And back in the early days, I was asked to do this. This assignment. I call it an assignment. I don't know how else to describe it, but I was asked to go to places where people had died in masses, like 9/11 and other places as well, and to actually help those to cross over to the other side. They were ready to go. They were light workers that stayed behind, and to actually work with them for a while and just to help them to navigate. It's okay, let go. You don't have to stay out of guilt. You're good to go. And high level guilt from the light worker realm. I mean, that's
I love it.
I know. And I grew so much through that, because often I was given information that I didn't even know, Greg. I was just passing on, literally, the telepathic messages that I needed to. But apparently they needed to be from a human, so it was more believable. I don't know, but that's what was happening. And I just remember that that was my lucid, very lucid astral travel in all across the world, with the purpose of educating light workers. At the end of a little while, they asked me to go to the Uluru, go to the Red Centre, set up like a metaphysical centre there, and go there instead of going around to all these places. And then I had people, I guess like myself, coming to the centre and asking me like fine-tuning questions. And so what had happened then was there was more people helping, because apparently back in 2009 there was a huge, I guess you could say, a build-up of conscious light workers who were needed to really be educated in letting go, basically. And which is that God complex thing. I've got to stay, and I've got to help people. It's actually okay. You can let go. So that was another experience that I had, and that really shaped me. It shaped me because I wasn't getting paid for that work at all. but it was work, and I was turning up every day, and it helped to shape me to be more aligned with what the world needed, not with monetary or financial gain at all, and just to completely unconditionally be of service 100% and know that that's what was being required. So that was huge. Some of these experiences of astral travel just grow our soul so big, you have no idea that they're doing it. But I didn't know that at the time. I was a little bit like, I was literally, Greg, like at that point where I was and I had been in that letting go phase for at least, I would have to say 4 years, like diligently. And it took that to the next level. Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's a fascinating story, and also this notion of the telepathic thing. Sometimes I think, because in the astral, when you hear things from your guides, because it's telepathic, it just seems to be the essence of what is. And you think of, like, even the human senses, we don't talk about talk as a sense. So, and you look at what is or the corrupted institutions in the world, like, because a so-called leader says something and someone says, oh, he didn't do that, but that's just because he said it. Like, people think, oh, but he said that. And then I say, well, but if you look at that, if you look at the energy of that person, I wouldn't necessarily have believed the words from that person. Do you know what I mean? And people are so then offended by when someone changes the word, but the words aren't even really a sense. It's funny, because what I've seen in the astral is, it's just essence. Like you the messages come through. There's not we don't manipulate any kind of. So the human drama is interesting, because there is that capacity for people to use the verbal thing as kind of a corrupted way of communicating. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I'm so passionate about the ear chakras. And in the training that I offer, I always make sure people clear their ears out. If you don't, and you don't hear the telepathic message behind, like you don't hear the essence behind it, the essence behind what they're saying could be, actually, I'm scared and I have to say this. I don't really believe it. I don't actually really feel this. And so what you're hearing is, if they change it later on, you're going, of course, because they didn't resonate with that message in the first place. You're kind of getting that. And just before we head off, I really want to show people your book. Do you have a copy of your book there?
I do have a copy of the book, yeah.
Awakening the Giant Within, a personal adventure into the Astral Realms. Greg Doyle has written this beautiful book. Thank you so much. Where can they grab a copy of that, Greg?
You can get it anywhere. You can get it from my website at gregdoyle.com. So it's basically about my awakening, and also, which is, I've been told, fortunately, it's an interesting read, which is, you never know when you write a book, but people can't put down. So
awesome.
It is good. And also, I actually wrote it as a therapy to get my words back after I had that weird thing where I couldn't talk. But also there's exercises in there to go astral as well, so it can also guide people out.
Awesome. And I love that we can have a conversation and not remember anything but still feel connected. That's cool.
Oh, no, it's good.
I think that's a gift, actually.
I think you're right.
And no, it's true. And if you want to check out Greg's incredible wisdom in the documentary that he's recently featured in, you can find that actually at this link, with this YouTube link. And you can also find it on our website, which is, I forgot to put my own website in there. That's funny. I forgot myself. Lightworker Foundation. I got to spell now. Foundation.org. Why we do agenda items ahead of time. Is it up there? Did I do it? Oh, hang on. Show it. I got to show it. There it is.
Well done.
Did I get it right? I haven't got my glasses on yet. You can always check it out on our website. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you, Greg. It's been a joy. I'm sure we could talk for hours, but that's all the time we've got today. But I really enjoyed it.
Great chat. Same here. And thanks to everyone for watching. It was really, really good fun. I loved it. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Happy astral traveling.
Exactly.